Hey guys. Yeah, I'll be honest. This was one of those episodes that was really hard to watch. And the thing is, it wasn't hard to watch in the sense of it being a bad episode. No, it was a really good episode. But it's one of those episodes that pretty much the reason as to why it was hard to watch to begin with is pretty much because the burning of Odin was just so visceral, but it's also one of those episodes that very naturally like that very naturally builds up this sense of despair and tension by just through the simple passage of time in the episode. Like just through the simple passage of time in the episode, you could almost feel the cloud of despair building up over Wano. The more the citizens of Wano had pretty much fought and looked on in shock and horror in their attempt to try to even in the attempt in order to try to stop the execution, and just seeing that hope slowly fade from them, all leading up to the ultimate final moments for Odin, where he had not only saved the Yakuza 9, the Yakuza 9, who he considered the last and pretty much final hope for Wano, but at the very last moment, by accepting his death in the way he did and taking it with a smile, just as Roger had done when he was executed, with that oh so classic catchphrase of his, he managed to reignite a small spark within the citizens in order to continue fighting even long after he died. And Odin's death in itself goes a long way towards explaining a lot of the tactics that a lot of the tactics that a lot of tactics that a lot of the tactics that Orochi had pretty much applied in the had applied in the present, in like all the re-education, all the abuse of the citizens, all that was pretty much done with the you can now see just how much that was done with the very specific goal of trying to basically pretty much trying to prolong the pretty much inevitable, because because at this point in the present, Orochi might pretty much put on a very maniacal facade, and yes, he more than like he definitely is definitely in some ways definitely in a lot of ways is definitely a little bit of a tactical genius, but at the same time he is afraid. He's basically afraid of suffering the same fate as his family, but but just through that he also came to realize the influence of just the Kozuki as a name is practically undying. In a lot of ways, it's one of the he realized he had to crush the French legacy of the Kozuki, but as we've learned, when it comes to the Kozuki family, the Kozuki legacy, again, it's an undying legacy, and no matter how hard Orochi may try, he can't erase it. It's something that again is unyielding, just pretty much as Oden was, and and that and yeah, obviously the other big reveal of the episode is we learned that we learned the Kazuki clan themselves were the ones who sealed Wano up from the rest of the sealed Wano away from the rest of the world. And just if we know the basics of the story as they've been told, the reason for that happening at all was to protect Wano from the rising influence and power of the world government, which, considering how even research was criminalized after the world government came to power, it's understandable as to why that would happen, because Wano are the ones who wear a lot of the secrets, a lot of the ideas of a lot of the secrets of the Void Century. It in some ways lies with pretty much Wano. And now at this point, we basically know the person that Wano is waiting to open the borders to is the same as Ryugu Kingdom, is the same as the one that the Ryugu Kingdom is waiting for, Joy Boy. But considering the timeline, I think it's fair to assume that Joy Boy, or the one that existed during the Void Century, is dead, meaning that Joy Boy in the present is more a title that's meant to refer to a person who carries on the will of the original Joy Boy who lived during the time of the Void Century. So, in this current era, for example, the pretty much two people who would more than likely be referred to as Joy Boy in this case is Luffy and Robin, because combined they pretty much are the ones who will more than likely carry on Joy Boy's legacy and journey to its first final conclusive journey. So yeah, it's like so in a lot of ways, like as far as the Joy Boy that Wano is waiting for is kind of already in Wano right now. Luffy is in certain ways Joy Boy they've been waiting for. And yeah, even though we all knew Orochi was never planning to keep his promise at all, just by doing what he did by going ahead with Oden's execution like anyway and just trying to and from trying anything he can in which to subdue or kill the citizens. it's it's interesting how by doing such actions and however he may think that what he's doing in that moment is a show of power and force, it's actually the greatest show of weakness there is, because it shows that how just how truly scared he is, and the moment in which Oden died, is it firmly placed him on the path of those who came before him and his family. Orochi in the present is destined to be killed by the Kozuki. And right now the Prince only thing he has actually done he's actually done by allying with Kaido when you get down to it is delay the inevitable of his fate. Like Oroshi's fate was sealed at the very moment Oden died, and right now it's just a matter of when that is going to happen, which wink wink I know when it's going to happen, but yeah. And and also one little addition I love that I don't think was in the manga is how they presented a lot of the moments as a lot of recap moments in the series as the Yakuza 9 just looking back on their memories with Oden as they escape. It's actually a really clever way of using flashbacks in order to fill time while also still making it feel like it's part of the story. And the film reels are even more an utterly unique touch of approaching the memories. Like it's one of those things you don't really think about, but when you see how it's presented in the story, yeah, it really freaking works. Now, if I am being honest, the episode focusing strictly on the entirety of Oden's execution was both an advantage and a detriment to the episode. On one hand, by giving us sole focus on the execution, it allowed us to soak in the atmosphere and the emotion of Oden's final moments a lot more. But on the other hand, there are still moments most that where it feels like it's basically dragging its feet a little bit, and it's really all in the parts where it oddly switches perspective to Kaido and Orochi. I don't know why that is, even because obviously the parts with Kaido and Orochi, they're not very long. They're like a couple minutes to only like a couple minutes to maybe a couple seconds maybe. But even though their scenes are the shortest in the episode's runtime, it did still feel like the episode had pretty much slowed down every single time it focused on them. Yeah, I don't know. A weird criticism, but I think it's just that everything else about the episode was basically so emotionally engrossing that every time it just switched to those guys, it just came across as okay to tedious, I guess. Like I don't want to focus. It's like I don't want to focus on these guys. I just want to focus on what Oden's doing right now, what the Yakuza 9 are. I know the Yakuza 9 are trying to survive, but yeah, it's again weird thing. But it's just every time I focus on those two, I kind of clocked out a little bit there. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. Enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, and be sure to click on the bell for notifications and share the video around. Death Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, guys.